Horror films are, in general, are about the terror of entering adulthood because you think adulthood is actually evil.
He has written, directed, and produced some of the most disturbing movie images of all time. For over 3 decades, he has challenged, manipulated, and entertained his audiences. This, in his words, told to Fangoria's Tony Timpone, this is his Screamography. A product of a strict Baptist upbringing, Craven had a difficult childhood, but one that shaped him into the icon he is today.
My father died when I was a kid, and I was raised by this other family during the day while my mother was working. And that guy, his name was Eddie Bilton, had an 8mm camera and was always taking 8mm films. And he also would rent them from the camera shops in those days. Used to rent little 8mm features like you know, Daredevils and all that stuff. So I was really fascinated by it, but I never thought of making them. And as you said, we were forbidden to see films, so with the exception of Walt Disney films. And I think it all just hit me at once after I got out of graduate school. I had seen To Kill a Mockingbird. I had actually snuck out of the college that I was going to that would have expelled me for going to the movies. I mean, it all sounds insane now, but and I thought the film was so fantastic. You know, it just was like, well, this can't be sinful. This is stupid, you know.
That forbidden trip to the theater made an impact on Craven, which would stay with him to this day.
I don't know. I always think that being raised the way I was raised gave me more, certainly gave me a great love of film because they were forbidden. And that always, you know, if you forbid anybody to do anything, then it's like, that becomes really a great thing to do. But also, it made me literate, you know, rather than steeped in films. So I kind of have a very, I think, a deep story sense because I just read books up until the time I was in my mid-20s, you know. But you know, I'm sure I have a bit of rage in me, probably a good deal of it, just of what was taken from me. You know, by being raised in a group that said the world is sinful, you don't want to be part of it, sex is bad, you can't dance, you can't smoke. That kind of stuff, when you look back on it, you realize that that kind of fundamentalistic way of looking at the world really isolates people from life itself. I totally understand why fundamentalist Islamicists can do what they do, because, you know, it's crazy making. You know, it makes you feel like you're not where you actually are.
It took some time for Craven to figure out where he wanted to be.
After I got out of grad school, I was teaching, and they had an art house in the town, and it was right in the middle of the European New Wave. So, you know, all those films by Fellini and Buñuel and Truffaut, and, you know, that incredible outburst of fantastic creativity, you know, and I just fell in love with it. I just, I want to make films, you know, and I didn't really have an idea of what kind of films to make at all. I think I still had my head up my butt, you know, as far as what reality was or anything, because I'd come from this very kind of tight, narrow little background. So there was a lot of just taking big leaps of faith, you know, quitting my job, and even going to graduate school. I didn't have money to go to graduate school, but I just hitchhiked there and got a couple scholarships, you know, within 3 days. And so there's been about 4 or 5 key moments in my life where I've just kind of like, here we go, you know, because it just felt like nothing's going to happen if I'm still teaching up in upstate New York, and, you know, nothing's going to happen if I don't quit my job teaching, and, you know, and it worked out. So I think sort of passion and kind of, you know, bold